you're a proud Patriots fan. Is that what you're ringing in for today?
No, I'd actually like to talk some cricket, Curtis, if that's
Let's do
okay.
it.
Yeah, because I know a guy who spent many thousands of dollars to buy some tickets for the Adelaide Test match the Saturday for the Ashes.
Yep.
And he's starting to get a little bit concerned that it might not make it to a fourth day.
So it starts on the third Wednesday?
Starts on the Wednesday.
Yep.
It is a day Test match. So there's that. Pat Cummins is potentially out.
Yep.
But that means we'll see Scott Boland, correct?
He could take 6 for 3 in the matter of
which,
4 overs.
Which is my other worry. We might win before the Saturday. But I'm thinking, will we get to the Saturday, firstly? What will our batting lineup look like?
Yep.
I think our bowling lineup is fairly obvious.
Yeah,
what will our batting lineup look like? Because Marnus is all of a sudden in form, isn't he?
Yeah, Marnus has turned it on. So the bowling lineup, let's address that first. We know Pat Cummins even came out and said today that he's not going to play the first test. I mean, he said it's looking unlikely. We know his stress fracture in his back. He's not going to play. He might miss the whole series. It could be that serious. And to think that he re-aggravated that playing against the West Indies, holy, that's a needless injury ahead of the Ashes. But anyway, so it'll be Hazelwood, it'll be Boland, it'll be Mitch Starc, and it'll be Nathan Lyon. So that's our bowling. As for the batting, I mean, Khawaja will open, right? He's almost 39 in the Ashes, but he's in decent form. He'll open. Who goes alongside him? Labuschagne got dropped for the one-day internationals, and then the very same day scores a century in a domestic one-dayer. Renshaw's been brought in for it. I think it might be Renshaw. I mean, there's other guys in the mix as well. Jake Weatherald has been the top scorer in Sheffield Shield for the last 12 months. But I think Renshaw is the guy. Is that what you're thinking?
Oh, he probably is. I hope it's Jake Weatherald, to be honest. He's been in such good form, and we've seen it with Australian batsmen in the past. You know, in the heyday when you had Hussey, Martin, Lehman making thousands and thousands of runs in the Sheffield Shield.
Yep.
They finally get their chance, and they play really, really well. I'd love to see Jake Weatherald being given that chance. If not, you know, Adelaide Test match would be brilliant, but give him 3 or 4 Test match or 3 or 4 innings at least to actually have a crack. I don't hate the Marnus addition. I think he's been out of form for 2 years, but now he's gone back and he said, "All right, I'll bat myself back into form, and you have to select me." If he's hit, what does he hit, 4 centuries in a row?
Yeah, he's knocking down the door. I mean, he scored 160 in the Sheffield Shield and then 105. That's just the start of this. Well, that's just the last 2 weeks.
Yeah. So somewhat of Marnus's caliber, what we've seen before at international level, if he's hitting those kind of runs, you can't not play him, can you?
Yeah. I don't know. It's like you said, it has been a 2-year stretch, a very lean stretch for Marnus. And are we talking him opening as well? Because he's not always.
I don't think he's an opener. Well, I'd love to see Jake Weatherald open, and then do we see? And then it's Steve Smith has to be there. Marnus is there. Obviously, Alex Carey will play. Trav Head will play.
Yeah,
that's
well,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's
Green is probably 7.
An all rounder. That might be how it looks.
Yeah, but Weatherald, I mean, that is a good story. So he played for South Australia for so long, was really solid without being elite. Went to Tasmania for different opportunity. Hardly got picked in his first year there in the 23-24 season. Then last year he gets picked for every game and becomes the top scorer in Sheffield Shield. And then in the first game for Tassie last week, he scored 2 50s. So he's in form as well.
He's in form.
The other names, Marcus Harris, we keep hearing, but he's had 14 Test matches, averaged 25. He scored a 50 last week, but I don't think he's the guy. Nathan McSweeney, I think, unfortunately, from SA has squandered his chance in his 2 games last year and didn't score last week either. And the hardest one to evaluate is Sam Konstas.
No, he's not in.
No, he's not in. He can't be, can he?
He doesn't make runs. He's exciting, but he doesn't make runs. We want people who make runs.
I just want to see him recapture the magic of that one innings where we thought we had the batting god, the best player to ever play the game, when he was ramping Jasprit Bumrah and has not hit a single run since.
It was very impressive. And maybe he's the new age, which actually brings me to my second question. I don't know how many callers you have on the line.
We do have one more queued up, but
you have one more. I'll be very quick then. Jim Bob, retirees. This might be the last Ashes we see of Usman.
Yep.
Maybe Mitch Starc, Hazelwood.
Maybe.
Are we talking? We might have 3 or 4 guys retire at the end of these Ashes.
He's an interesting one. Lyon. How long does Lyon?
Lyon would have to be close.
Yeah, I mean he stated recently that he wants to win an Ashes series in England, so he's holding on for at least 2 more years in his mind. Yeah, I think you're right. I reckon Hazelwood might keep going. I think Starc has got to be very close. I'm amazed he's still producing what
He's
he
still
is,
going.
Mitch Stark. It's
The
been an
big
incredible
fastballs.
career.
What about Curtis? What about Steve Smith?
Yeah. I don't want to confront it because I love Smudger, but I think it might be it. But we have to enjoy this. You know, we get so enamored with young talent. We're so obsessed with that one innings from Sam Konstas that sometimes we ignore what's right in front of us. You know this with Brady, right? I know you appreciated him at the time, but we look back and realize he was even greater in hindsight. So let's just enjoy Steve Smith while we have him. And I think Smith versus Root will be one more epic clash. I don't think we'll see that again.
And I'm going to enjoy it Saturday in Adelaide.
You were the guy who bought the tickets, were you?
I was the guy that bought the tickets.
How much did you spend?
6,500. That's on 10
Where are you
tickets,
sitting?
though.
On the pitch?
Oh, it's a box. That's 10 tickets.
Wow.
Yeah, well, I do this. I actually do another podcast, and they paid me really, really well this year. So that actually covered half of one of the tickets.
They would if you sent in the invoice, man. You got 2 invoices pending. You're getting double pay now. All right. Thank you, Hawley. Appreciate you ringing in, man. Great to chat with you. See you, mate. Very good. I'm glad we talked Ashes. He's a good man, Hawley. I didn't know he was going to call in until very, very late on in the piece. So that's nice of him to do that. 39 sleeps till the Ashes. I can't wait. I mean, there's intrigue on the English side as well. If we get anybody else calling in about the Ashes later on, we might talk the English side.
I look as Muscle Cat Media's resident bat and ball guy. I wanted to just get your opinion, not about baseball, but about the Ashes and cricket season coming up. Because I almost feel like the Australian media is downplaying potentially just how much trouble the Aussies may be in. Like there doesn't seem to be a timeline on Patty Cummins. There's no definite opener. I mean, David Warner came out last week and is basically backing 20-year-old Sam Konstas, which I think we would all like to see. But it's impossible to ignore what Marnus Labuschagne has been doing in Shield cricket, and he was left out of the ODI side. I look at this as going into a baseball season without your ace starting pitcher and without your leadoff hitter. And if the LA Dodgers had gone into a season without Yamamoto and without Shohei Ohtani, there's no way that they're playing in the National League Championship Series at the moment. And look, I know the sports are completely different, but I mean, this is the highlight of cricket once every 4 years in Australia. And I think oftentimes the Australian cricket media has a tendency of saying, no, everything's going to be all right. We just win. We win whenever England comes here. Because what it's been since 2011, 2012.
Yeah.
Well, it's been since 2011, 2012 since England has come down here and taken the Ashes away.
Well,
so
that's true.
I know that I can get your honest opinion. Are we worried? Because it seems like everybody else in the Australian sporting media just think it's a lay down there that the Aussies are going to win the Ashes.
Well, I tell you what, I think if you heard the start of the show, Hawley came on, and he's also a Muscle Cat Media man. He does the Outback QB. Rolsey does the Baseball Expats podcast. That's why he uses such beautiful baseball analogies. But I think Muscle Cat Media guys are honest guys, especially when it comes to Ashes cricket, because Hawley was concerned the game might not make it to the 4th day, where he spent $6,500 for tickets, for the reason that Patty Cummins is out, and we don't have the strongest batting lineup. Now, you said Sammy Konstas. Hawley and I went through the options earlier on in the show, and I don't want Konstas to play. I would love him to play if he's in good form, but at the moment he's not in good form. He has hardly made a run since he burst onto the scene against India. He made 14-4 in the Sheffield Shield opener last week. To me, at the moment, he doesn't have the technique or the fortitude to hold down a regular spot in Test cricket. So we've got Khawaja, who's almost 39. Renshaw is an option that I said earlier on in the show. Labuschagne, after being dropped from the ODIs, is now showing form. But I think we should be worried about Cummins. I don't think he'll play at all. I think he's going to miss the whole Ashes series. I think they're just playing coy and trying to figure out a way to spin it. The batting lineup is somewhat shaky, but I've got faith in the middle order of Head and Smith. I think we're okay there. That's one part of it. The other part that I wanted to get to tonight, and I don't know if you know much about the English squad, is they're not particularly rock solid at number 3 or at opener either. Ben Duckett, one of their openers, he's playing well. He's averaged mid-high 40s over the last 12 months. He's no problem. He'll score runs, and he scored runs in Australia. Not incredibly, but he's done okay. Zach Crawley is a problem. He's their other opener. I don't know how he's still opening after 60 tests, averaging 31, doesn't score runs in Australia. The other spot that they have an issue, potentially, is number 3. So Ollie Pope, who was this superstar who burst onto the scene 4 or 5 years ago, vice-captain, just had the vice-captaincy taken from him. It's moved to Harry Brook. They're talking maybe Jacob Bethel to bat at 3 in the Ashes.
To me, like England, from an Australian standpoint, has never been full strength whenever they come out for the Ashes. I mean, and like England, I think, are the worst at making excuses for themselves. But the mind games have already started because I mean, Harry Brook, who is quite a young fella, but is quite outspoken, is saying that he believes that this Pat Cummins thing is really going to derail Australia. And where it's interesting for me for the Aussies is what does that bowling lineup look like? And that's probably where I wanted to get your take because I mean, do you keep it simple? Is it Stark, Hazelwood, Boland, Lyon, or do you gamble on a fourth seamer? Do you shorten the tail? That's where I think things really start to get interesting if Cummins isn't there, because then
Yep.
Steve Smith is going to captain. Steve Smith is a very different captain to what Pat Cummins is. So it's a very different type of test team than what we've seen since Cummins took over the captaincy. And I think there could just be this knock on effect where everybody thinks, well, it's just going to be this sort of next man up mentality, but I'm not so sure.
Yeah, I think they keep it simple to start with. Hazelwood, Stark, Boland, Lyon. But those four bodies, well, Lyon will, but the other three bodies might not make it through 5 tests either. So you need to have other guys. There's Brendan Doggett, who's 31, but he's been the best Shield bowler over the last 2 years. He's averaged 21, I think, over the last 2 seasons, which is incredible. You've got Michael Neeser, who's played a couple of tests, but he's 35. He's had a hammy issue, all that sort of stuff. Jai Richardson, Nathan McAndrew, Fergus O'Neill. He's a youngster coming out of Victoria, but is he quick enough over 5 tests? It's not as rock solid as it used to be. And I'll finish with this, Rolsey, because I think we've got other callers on the line, Jimbo. But the foundation of the Ashes wins in the era that I grew up with, and maybe yourself as well, was late 90s, early thousands. We had an opening pairing that could never be easily dismissed. You know, Langer, Hayden, or Slater, whoever it was, that era was rock solid there, and it was rock solid with our pace attack as well. McGrath, Lee, Gillespie, even Kasparovich, Fleming, those guys coming in occasionally as well. And you're right, they're possibly the 2 areas that we're a little iffy going into this series. So who knows? We'll see if it's all
you
spin.
don't want to be chopping and changing, right? But test on test on test, right? And Perth and Brisbane maybe don't necessarily seem as stable as I don't think Australia lose in Sydney. I don't think they lose in Melbourne. But I get a sense that everybody feels really comfortable about this Australian summer of cricket, and I'm just not so sure.
Not me. 39 sleeps, Rolsey. Cannot wait. Thanks for joining the show, mate. We'll chat soon.